requiring the management of fishery management plans is the one very good thing that came out of the Fisheries Reform Act. That and changing the commission from 17 members to 9, making it more manageable, even though you would argue they haven't done the best job, but it's clearly a better model. The licensing structure thing, I think, it made it marginally better, but you didn't get a saltwater recreational license. And as I remember, Butch Redwine put in a bill. I think there were 7,000 commercial licenses at the time, so he limited it to 7,500. So to us, that was a significant problem. Because as I remember, roughly half of the licenses at the time didn't report any income. So there was a lot of late licenses out there.
What about, just so that the FRA actually created the 4 standing advisory committees and the 4 regional advisory committees at the time. So was that a good thing, or were those any types of advisory committees in place prior to that?
Yes, I don't remember exactly. It seemed like there was a finfish advisory committee and then some regional advisory committees that met off and on. Part of the reason that they were required in the FRA is people had the idea that, or the perception that they weren't listened to. And like all advisory committees, some are listened to and some are not. So I think they just put in place probably more than they needed. I mean, I always thought they ended up with too many advisory committees. They kind of went overboard. And now they've cut back.
Yeah, it's been scaled back, I guess.
Been scaled back. But I think for a while there was too many. The greatest success is managing by fishery management plan, requiring FMPs, and not just managing by guess and by gosh. And reducing the size of the Marine Fisheries Commission from 17 to 9. Well, you'd have to remember what it was like before the Fisheries Reform Act, where you would just have a problem and you'd throw a regulation at it. And these regulations were often taken in a vacuum. And there were times when the regulations the commission passed and what became law were not the same either. I mean, it was just sort of almost like the Wild West. And so changing to the fishery management plan concept, I think, was, like I've said, is probably the most important thing, and provide for at least a framework for rational management. Now, there needs to be a metric that they need to be measured by. But I think that's the big thing, is to understand what it was like before, because they were, they would just do a regulation on scrap fish. Wasn't related to any particular species, happened to be, but you couldn't have but so many pounds of scrap fish in an operation. The next meeting they'd talk about shrimp trawling or crab trawling or something, whatever. So it was all over the place. It was hard to have any kind of rational management.